Hello, everybody. I'm Michael.
And I'm Skylar.
And so that audio hiccup we had a little bit ago turned out to be a bad cable, and we lost the whole last episode of audio. But we have the video, so we're going to try something.
Yeah, it's a problem, but, well.
We're going to watch the video
Yeah.
and talk about what's happening and see how we do. So,
It's about to get really introspective. Yeah.
So yeah, we had gone off and we did get the potions, and we got like basically all stocked back up and ready to go.
So we don't even have the red ring yet.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, it's here we go. Okay.
All right, so we are going, and I think at about this point,
Is that and
this is actually me syncing for where we actually began talking, and I started making some comment about being the little nose of the two spectacles. See?
it's just gonna be
So,
us
like,
trying
yeah.
to rehash our jokes.
No, but I just remembered
Yeah,
that because
yeah.
I was like, and the way the kind of curvature at the bottom is like a little smiley face.
Yeah,
or whatever.
and for everybody's reference, we filmed the finale like 2.5 hours ago.
like an hour and a half ago because we had to like figure out what was wrong, that the cable was busted, and then we had to go get another one from Guitar Center on an emergency basis.
Yeah. Either way, we hope you'll kind of bear with us on this.
Yeah, so
It's weird not having to hold a controller, isn't it?
yeah, I actually don't know how to react to this.
Welcome to my damn seat every time we film.
But yeah, so like I know prior to this we had gone in and I definitely went and just looked up a map.
Yeah,
because
we were working with a map.
This was getting like extremely frustrating, and
This last level is exceptionally windy.
yeah, and like I know one of the weird things about that is like it makes sense. You know, the last level is always supposed to be like the most epic or whatever, right? Like the biggest challenge. And this actually touches on something that I think we lost from the original recording.
Going back and looking at it in the perspective of modern design.
Yeah, and because you asked a question, and it'll come up again here at some point. You will have asked this, and in the video, I'll start like I think blinking around my inventory, looking at stuff. But you asked a question about like using tools, or I was making a point about tools and their kind of meaning in these games. And in the NES era, one of the weird things was like the tool growth didn't really happen all that much. We touched on this a little bit, I think, talking about the way the magic book, which is, you know, up there at the top of the screen, interacts with the wand and gives you the little fireball at the end. And the thing was, like, in most of these games, you weren't gaining abilities all the way up until the end. At least, I guess what you'd call the early ones, because like Zelda is realistically an early game. You know, it set the trends for a lot of this stuff, and so the tools didn't really grow, but that meant that like navigating the levels, these last big dungeons, were just a lot of extreme repetitions of the stuff you already had. So it's challenging from the perspective of like an endurance run, but it's not really challenging from the perspective of like puzzling out the right thing to use in the right place. It's just, did you get so confused that you had to go walk your ass into a like and die so that you could get out of the dungeon and go buy a potion?
Is that going to be in this? Is that
that happened at the end of last episode.
Okay.
When we went to go kill ourselves.
Well, discombobulated from.
Yeah. When I went to go get out of the dungeon from the last episode, I walked into a room. I actually lost the big shield and had to go buy another one because I wasn't expecting the number of likes in the room. And I ended up having to use okay. Here's actually, I think, where the tool conversation came into play because, well, first I healed myself
Will you try and use a few different things against one of these guys?
Yeah, I also like healed myself in the worst possible place. Like that circle doesn't get easier to dodge. I was fucking hard just getting right out. Yeah, here's where the tool thing came into play, because this does absolutely fuck all. Imagine just like a flying eyeball staring at you from the middle of a fire you started and just not giving a shit.
Nemesis from Resident Evil.
Oh, God. Yeah, because I used the boomerang there, and I also used, maybe a bomb works. I don't think I try a bomb because, a bomb here, man, now I'm kind of upset that I didn't try a bomb, because at the very least, when the circle gets small, you could nail a lot of them.
Maybe it would have worked. So we're going to do an entire new playthrough just to find out.
Yeah.
No, this has been a journey towards the end here. No, and that's just to at least try and hopefully get some of the same conversation. I know we ended up actually talking about Zelda 2 a little bit, because there was some conversation around, and I'm not sure what led to it, but it was me asking like I've heard of Zelda 2, but it's like a bit of a black sheep of the Zelda, and you talking about like some of the RPG elements and stuff it presented. Yeah,
and so I think some of that also came up kind of in relationship to maybe some of the points I just made as well about like the tools and stuff. Because like Zelda 2, in addition to having an experience system and some stats that you kind of leveled up, it also had like every dungeon, it was closer to some more modern Zeldas in the sense that like you kept acquiring things that gave you new abilities at a more regular clip. Like the tools in this game, things like the raft, the ladder, they have very small scale uses. And the raft gets used in 2 places, and the ladder is only used to cross over these single tile things. And part of whatever that little like flying eyeball, whose name I can't remember, conversation that spawned was the fact that like that endurance running nature of games like this isn't as rewarding. Here we go. Here's where things get easier, because this makes me take less damage. But that endurance run nature, like,
I'm gonna miss you getting out like fucking Wiz Robes.
Yeah, I did say that a lot. This Wiz Robes made me so goddamn mad. But like, because the tools don't do as much for you in terms of like being able to solve stuff, especially like with that enemy where, I've got all of these new items at my disposal and none of them work on this thing, which happens in a lot of games. There are things with resistances, but this game, as an early iteration, what the fuck was I doing?
You're probably looking at the map, actually.
It was so explicitly like, you just have to use the sword to kill most stuff, that the tool acquisition doesn't feel good. And so Zelda 2 kind of did play with that. Like Zelda 2, you have a bigger bank of spells that also, because you have stats, those spells can impact your stats and can become a resource management thing. Like you have MP, and like there's a shield spell that lets you I remember what happens here.
That one gives you MP.
Yeah, you have MP, and so like some of the spells you do need to move forward. Like there's a spell that turns you into a fairy for a screen, and you can fly through locks instead of having to unlock stuff. There's a spell that makes you jump higher, which lets you get to ledges. There's a spell that increases your shield. There's a spell that like hits everything on the screen with lightning, which does reflect through into like future games. Looking at the map again, and I was looking at the wrong part of the map.
You can vision. Oh. Oh, so that didn't get captured. Because...
Yep. We're gonna see a real frustrating moment in a second here. We'll get there. Well,
no. So this was before we were working with the map technically then.
Oh, you're right.
Because
we weren't working with the map yet.
Because we only pulled the map out after this flub.
Well, that just makes me walking into the wall even dumber because I wasn't even looking at it.
Probably talking about something. Yeah.
Because this is the room where I killed myself and lost the shield.
And I know this is kind of disjointed, guys. We're sorry, but it's like we at least still had the footage, so we wanted to preserve that. We were even talking like we were glad the footage wasn't what went away, because then it's like almost we would have just had to throw the audio away anyways, because it's literally the finale. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, try and re-record the footage? Like, no. Like, at that point, I don't know what we would have done, but at least this was preserved, so you can watch Michael's shitty gameplay.
It is kind of funny watching back through and like.
Are you like judging yourself a little?
No, I mean, not really. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it's like to. We've done this enough times, and like, I mean, watching back through and like the editing work and whatever, I understand places where if I had been paying 100% attention, I wouldn't have made a mistake. Now this mistake was totally accidental. I thought I was making my way to the Silver Arrow, and.
Kind of wish you didn't give it away.
Well, here we are. Yeah, we're making our way to the Silver Arrow, y'all.
Yeah,
like, this
yeah.
is totally. Why did I bomb that? I was at the top of the fucking. You dumbass.
I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you're calling yourself
I'm literally at the top of the map. Like, there's
Yeah.
nowhere to go. We had a big discussion about how all of these things interlock.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, because that's like, I think you were talking about at one point, like this game started kind of retroactively coming under some scrutiny because of the way like you have to explore the map. And I don't remember if that was in the finale or not, but we were talking about it. Was that this in conjunction with Elden Ring, or am I thinking?
Yes, it was.
That earlier?
And so before, what was interesting to me, before Elden Ring came out.
No, that was a past. We did get the audio for that. Okay. Anyways.
We've talked about Elden Ring a couple of times during this series, but I think the conversation you're referring to specifically did happen here because this game was coming under some degree of scrutiny retroactively. Like, you know, it's always hard to view games through that lens, right? Because there's just people didn't know any better than to make things in a certain way, because they were still trying to figure out like what made sense from a designer perspective and
You're
from a
doing
player
everything
perspective.
for the first time.
Yeah. Like, you know, the only basis for a lot of stuff in this era were like arcade games, and arcade games even have a completely different design philosophy. One of our friends who I play games with, like, he's really into retro games, but, you know, mostly from the collector and player perspective. And so he's constantly asking me about, like, where did this come from, you know? Yeah, here's the fuck up. I have walked into this room thinking I was I wasn't even looking at the map. I should have realized, looking at the map, that this was Ganon's room, because the Triforce is right there in the eyeball.
Yeah, because this is where you're going, oh, wait. Oh, we can't do this. We're fucked.
Yep, because you gotta have the Silver Arrow to do anything to Ganon here. So this messed with me too, because I was trying to experiment here, because it's been several years since I actually played through this game, and I actually, when I was prepping for this, I did not play through the final level, kind of on purpose, but I should have done my homework, because I couldn't remember the order of things that makes Ganon appear.
Yeah, the actual Ganon kill is not clean.
No, it is dirty as fuck.
Yeah.
You know, any goodwill I built up from like a clean Mega Man X Dash, or, you know, like some of the shit that happens in the Bucky O'Hare series that I am proud of, I burned it. I burned it hard.
Well, I haven't even seen it yet, so this is fun because like we know it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, you know, it still chafes to be like, oh, I wish I could get that audio, but like it's not even one where like we recorded the audio and lost it. Like it actually stopped recording. It just doesn't even exist.
because the mic cable was going bad.
And I can tell I'm paranoid because I keep looking at our audio capture.
Yeah, it's still going.
Is it going? We're fine? Everything's okay?
Basically, the connection at the mic was bad, and so if it moved even just a little bit, there was a risk that it just disconnected the mic entirely, which stopped the whole program from recording. So that's what happened there. To kind of go back a bit to like the Elden Ring Secrets thing, this game was coming under some scrutiny for how much you just had to randomly like poke around. And we have talked about this like in terms of Miyamoto's philosophy of like why you had to do things and the sort of community aspect.
And I am remembering we did talk about the walls in another episode, so we're good there.
We talked about the walls, but did we talk about the substitution that one of the things that makes Elden Ring work or the Souls game work is the what Miyamoto envisioned in this game as people talking with one another and sharing their experiences and sharing their secrets has kind of been like filled in by the messaging systems, like in Souls games. And not every game has this, obviously, but I mean, that was a very interesting way that From found to incorporate that need for community discovery. Because, other like Zelda, as big as it might look, it's still a very finite game. There's only so many trees you can ever reach with a fire. There's only so many walls you can ever drop a bomb on. And it might take you a while to test every single one, but you could feasibly, within a week, maybe even a couple of days, test every single one. Like once you get the red candle that has infinite fire usage, you could go to every screen and try to burn every tree. Bombs would be more of a pain because you'd have to buy upgrades. Like you'd have to keep buying new bombs. But at the end of the day, you could.
Who's got that kind of money in this economy? I don't know, gas sucks right now.
Link doesn't have a fucking job, so I mean, he's mostly just murdering the indigenous wildlife. Who for some reason drops the currency of the realm.
You've never killed a rabbit and just a few bucks pop out?
Just like a greenback pops out.
Yeah.
Like, why are you carrying a Benjamin, bunny?
Yeah.
So here's where I just straight up, I'm like, map time. I bring up 2 different maps on my phone to figure out how I don't do that again.
Because we didn't want to waste anybody's time.
Yeah, buckle up.
Yeah.
Y'all can see how much time is left on this video. You know how long it takes us to get through.
The funny part is, because I think and I think we kind of technically lost some of that, but we were talking about like, you'll know if it's the finale before we do kind of a deal, but no, we know.
I think we made that comment last episode right before we took the break because, but yeah, I mean, that is...
we know now.
Yeah. We were assuming it was going to be the finale, and then level 9 happened.
Yeah. I was going to say earlier, it's a really interesting thing, though, because, like, this is, I mean, obviously, like, you coming back and playing through this game, like, your way through. We've talked about this in prior episodes where, like, part of this fun adventure, or part of what we enjoy doing here, is, like, it's a nostalgia trip for Michael. We get to have some design discussion. We get to just kind of, it's called Crit Couch because we're critiquing to some degree, right? Now, we're not trying to make it as simple as, is it good, is it bad, do we like it, do we not? But, just explore stuff. And, I mean, this is the progenitor for so many things that come after it. And I'm not just talking about all the Zeldas that come after it to what, at this point, the last game we've had was Breath of the Wild, or I guess technically Hyrule Warriors.
The Link's Awakening remake.
Right. God, that game was cute.
Link's Awakening, man, I love Link's Awakening. There's a whole like group of people that deeply love Link's Awakening. I'm a part of it, but it's so weird because it's almost a completely. I wonder what I was saying here as I was idly looking at the map.
Yeah, but
yeah, like, yeah, because there's. One of the interesting things about like the idea, and this is actually worth kind of investigating. I might be detracting from where you were going, so if I'm I'm off base here, I know. But I'm always also interested in the fact that for as like big as this game was, there aren't more direct clones of it from its era. That might be a different conversation to have, but...
Well, no, I think you're getting pretty close to what I wanted to talk about anyways, which is just kind of like legacy more than anything. Like, in like our current era, and I've expressed this a little bit outside of recordings, but, you know, I worry about the game industry at large because we are in a moment right now where we are watching acquisition after acquisition after acquisition. There was even literally yesterday talks of like EA trying to sell off or merge.
Yesterday, like, relative to us recording this, but yeah.
Yeah, which is like that. EA is trying to.
Well, yeah, and I mean, this is right after like the Activision stuff and talks of Ubisoft selling and
I think like we all know, like the investors have started to really change the game industry, and I really wish you would have dropped a bomb just to see. But
you know, it wouldn't have been as useful on this one because I think they're called Patras.
Patras.
Yeah. I don't know why that.
Mater.
But because because the little ones don't get as near to the oh man. Okay, so when I was looking at the map, this series of rooms, like this and a couple of rooms beneath it, they're traps. In the sense that, like, if you go up, the bottom door locks and you can't get back, and it forces you to backtrack through the level. And I didn't realize that, and so I end up having to backtrack through the level. Shocker.
No, but no, just so industry stuff aside, like I think about games legacies, and I think about like, you know, there's conversations going on now about how like, you know, creativity is getting very stifled because of all this like investment stuff that's going on. I mean, we talked a little bit. I don't know if it was in the finale or not, but I know earlier we had talked about Cyberpunk 2077. This day has become a blur because of everything. It has been an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, he's been here since like 11:45, and it's like almost 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's been day. Anyways, I was gonna say the kind of what I'm getting at is like we see this game launch this large of a series, and even games that are inspired by it. I mean, we think about, so even just Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild clones now exist.
Oh, yeah, like we were talking about during one of our in-between times, like Immortals Phoenix Rising, essentially like...
Yeah, oh, you know what, sure, we can even talk a little bit about that, but we were talking about, like, how the Breath of the Wild combat never really evolves. And if I were to, like, really dig into it, like, that's probably one of its biggest failings is like you get some numerical advantages, you get some stronger weapons and things, but like the core combat is the same at the beginning of the game as it is at the end of the game for the most part. But nonetheless, like, you know, this is obviously a game and a genre that's still like influencing other games in the industry. But do we see a lot of like original games that are doing that too?
This is a podcast topic for sure.
Oh, yeah,
it's actually
it's
something that's been on my radar because I think the answer to this is it's a bigger answer, and it looks at a lot of other intersecting things because to answer that, you have to look not just at like the direct lines of influence that a game like Zelda has, and you can't just look at what the major publishers are doing. You have to look at the number of games that are being made now. You have to lay groundwork for talking about like what are you classifying as original or new.
And I'm mostly asking those rhetorically. It's more just these are kind of the things like I think about. Especially when I start really delving like my thoughts on just games in general, like where they were when I first started getting into them. Like when I first started playing video games, I didn't think video games were all that fun. I thought my backyard was a lot more exciting.
I went and pretended I was in Final Fantasy VI in my backyard. So.
There you go. Yeah. And that's like RPGs especially did not resonate with me until like much later in life. And I mean, Michael can attest to this. Like, I've probably played through and beaten Final Fantasy Tactics a dozen times. Like, that used to be just like almost a yearly playthrough. I would just sit down and play through Final Fantasy Tactics because I love that game. But that, yeah, I started really. Yep, here we are. Started really investing like much later. And that's why it's so fun coming back and playing through some of these games, because I didn't experience them. You left the bat.
I was checking.
No. I'm gonna get you.
Okay, I'm gonna get him, guys. I'm gonna avenge all of you.
Does he get a hit off on you?
What's that, Mr. Bat? Fuck you, Bat.
Jesus, I forgot you just destroyed that thing.
Yeah, I went a little aggro on the bat. Yeah, and not to like deviate the conversation too much, just because.
Riffing, anyways.
Well, and I don't want to like go. With only like a few like 8-ish minutes left in this, I don't want to like go down a road that we know how long this was left at this point, or this had left.
Fun things we can talk about in the next series.
Well, and like I said, those are things that I would rather go into like in a sit down just about them, because I personally, and this isn't just in video games, this has to do with like larger arguments of creativity in music, in movies, in television, because the most unique thing about the last century is the fact that we now have developed all of these databases and categorizations and permanent access to everything we make. And we have done that in a way that is unprecedented in all of human history. And we are still grappling with judging like what innovation looks like, what creativity looks like in a space where we always remember. You know, like the North remembers or whatever shit. Is that the North? What is that from? That's not Game of Thrones. Pepperidge Farm remembers? I don't fucking know. I think I just like mixed Ned Stark with fucking Pepperidge Farm, and that is a cookie I don't want to deal with.
Pepperidge Farm pays its debts.
Pepperidge Farm always pays its debts.
Yeah. It's like little Keebler elves just like executing each other.
I know Orville Redenbacher, like the popcorn guy, isn't like the mascot of Pepperidge Farm, but because of like the names of those, I'm going to place with this because like the guy from Orville Redenbacher, like, and the style of his portrait always just matches up with the style of like the Pepperidge Farm bag. So for me, like, whenever I hear the Pepperidge Farm remembers, I just get a picture of like the popcorn dude. I'll put a picture up on the screen because nobody else is going to know what the hell I'm talking about.
Hi, I'm the Orville Redenbacher guy.
But I don't know. See, now I'm just getting these mixed like Lannisters and Orville Redenbacher and Pepperidge Farm and just like cookie debts. And I don't know, man. All right, here we go. Here is the messy kill. Also, to tie off last thought, we have a bad recollection. We have a bad understanding of the permanence and the repetition of themes and creative stuff because we have never had that history. All right, Skylar.
So as you can see here, Michael is trying to figure out if he needs to shoot the arrows first or stab the invisible Ganon.
But he only has 17 shots, and we need to be very careful because once those shots are gone, he cannot win.
Yeah, and you can imagine it's going to get tense. Let's see how it plays out.
I'm not gonna do that for the whole thing, but yeah, like he was legit like, I don't remember. I looked it up midway through this fight so that we could confirm.
Well, because I wasn't able. And here you see him repeatedly not predicting where Ganon's invisible ass is.
Well, because this is you started convincing yourself. You're like, oh, do I have to shoot him first? I've got to shoot him first, right?
Yeah. Well, and then I forgot. Because you'll see, you were actually looking down at your phone the first time I did end up hitting him.
Yeah, you hit him before I actually found out.
Yeah. And, man, it
was special. It was the only way that this game could have ended, on this kind of note.
On this day, with these problems,
yeah.
just...
As soon
Me
as you said
absolutely.
that, as soon as you said that, I was like, it's still recording, right? Yeah.
Can you imagine like watching this from the outside? Like if you're actually like in Hyrule, you just like Zelda just hearing Link whiff shots, not knowing what's going on in this next room.
You're like pained. Ah! Wow, you've even tried your magic. Well, because by the time you walk into Zelda's final room here, you're just like beaten and bloody.
Oh yeah, see, I get him for the first time.
You only had 8 arrows left. You whiffed 12.
You only need 1 arrow, but
Yeah.
I didn't.
You didn't know.
Again, I couldn't. See, it's somewhere in here. You found the information, and I just start like much more wildly stabbing. He looks like he's doing a little. Oh.
Yeah, you took a shot too.
But you also found in the middle of this, because this is another thing I forgot. You have to just stab Ganon enough times for him to turn brown, and then you shoot him with the arrow. So like I was trying to shoot him with the arrow when he became visible, and that also was not correct. But I think it's either the next hit or one more, and he's
right
there
here,
he is.
right here.
Look at that little pose.
I am the color of bacon. I love that you just dust him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And guess who it is?
Took you fucking long enough.
Yeah. How many potions did you use? Oh my god. No, that's well, I mean, hell, I'll close this out. Appreciate y'all hanging with us.
If you're
through
still
this.
here, nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Link. You're the hero of Hyrule.
We both got him.
Yeah, you got wisdom, I got courage. Where did the power go? Who fucking knows?
Well,
Actually, I'm not sure courage existed at this point.
Oh, really?
I don't remember. Because I think Zelda 2 is where the whole like brand of the
wisdom, courage,
Triforce
yeah.
on Link's hand actually showed
Starts to
up.
matter.
Because
Okay.
here I think it was just power and wisdom. I might be wrong about that, but
It's so fascinating how few people worked on this game in comparison.
well, and there might have been more people from
Like
the R&D
uncredited.
team. Yeah, that were uncredited. I just don't know.
I do like that there's almost a hint. It's like there was one more. But yeah, hey, I know this last episode's a bit of a weird roller. Yep, it's Oprah. A bit of a weird roller coaster, but like, hey, like, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it.
For anyone who doesn't understand what's going on there, Link holding the sword up means you've beaten the game and you've accessed the second quest. We will not be doing the second quest because it's just kind of a remix of where all the dungeons and items are. There are a couple of enemy differences, but beyond that, we think you've been generous enough with your time on this one to watch us. Watch me poorly fumble my way through that fucking whole last part.
Yeah. Well, and if you want more, I can tell you, we don't flub the ending on Bucky O'Hare. We don't flub the ending, right?
No, but also that episode will have long aired before this. So yeah, if you're coming to this first, go watch Bucky O'Hare instead, maybe.
If this is someone's first episode,
Why are you watching the last one? I mean, good on you, but why?
yeah, that would be. It's like skipping to the back of the book before you even cracked open the beginning. Yeah, I just want to see how it ends. Like, yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. We've got 40 seconds left.
It's dinner time.
Yeah. I'm gonna drive home now.
All right, y'all. We will see you for whatever the next thing we do on Crit Catch is.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.